Hey everyone, good afternoon. I am in the animal room today doing some maintenance and figured I'd take the opportunity to show some more specific information about the tools that I use for all of these tanks to ensure that I, am not lifting buckets. A lot of these racks wouldn't even really lend themselves to putting water back in um, with a bucket, via pouring it. And and so I've just always had to have different methods. So I actually, through trial and error, have had a couple different variations that I can show you. But basically, they all revolve around pumping water from the water closet, this trash can right here, and then obviously using the various power heads to all the different tanks. I'll take a moment here real quick to just show you a couple updates on the tanks in the fish room. So here I have separated out three rainbow fry that are growing up nicely. They take a little bit longer to grow out. And then I've got all female guppies in here that are hopefully in various stages of either growing out. You can see a couple little ones, and then a couple of both of these darker ones are pregnant, and I'm waiting to find out if this albino one might be. I had her in with one of the males for a while. It looks like she has kind of a dark spot there, but and she's kind of squaring off too, so I'm hoping that that means good things. But I haven't actually had any fry from her yet, whereas I've had quite a few from the other two females. So these two tanks right here are where I'm going to show you maintenance. So this one, I've got to do some algae control, as you see. Really, I've just got shrimp and snails in here, and then a couple lone CPDs that are leftover stock that I'm just not replenishing. And so I've got to get this valve under control. I've got to get the pearl weed under control so it leaves my valve alone, or my tiger lotus alone. And then in the back here, I don't want it to be buried so much, but I've got some awesome growth of moss that usually doesn't grow that well for me. So I'm going to clear that out. This tank is where I have all of the male guppies. Okay, so in my first batch I had 4 males. It was a weird batch of just like 6 right when they first came in. But you can see how things have grown just out of control. It's just like a mess in there. So I'm gonna clear out the plants in both of these 2 tanks, and I'll pause this video and then kind of show you what they look like when I'm done with maintenance. Over here we have the new home of the pufferfish, pea puffers, because their old tank had a planaria infestation, and I just didn't want to put them through a large dose of that, even though they have been okay with it in the past. Anyway, I had this tank and a spot for them, so they're going to be in here for a while until I get their 20 long, where they are from under control. Still growing out our largest batch of guppies in here. They're doing well, and yellow shrimp, you can see our yellow neocaridina shrimp are really coming along. In these 2 tanks, I'll have this tank better lit up for another video, but I finally got in my aquatic isopods from In My Tanks. That guy seems super cool, and shipping, pricing, all of that was awesome. So I'm just letting them kind of settle in for a little bit before I do a video on how those ended up, but they're doing really well so far. And then in this rack, nothing really has changed other than I did go ahead and pick up some black mollies recently to try and help me out with some hair algae that I'm having in a couple tanks. And I just like live bears. This is the newest 20-gallon long that I'm in the process of setting up, and I'm really excited because this will be one of my first attempts at kind of a multi-layer substrate, which I know is not new or profound in any way, but for me it is. And so I have my aqua soil, and then to kind of help buffer the water, I have mixed in a layer of crushed coral, and then we capped it with my current favorite type of gravel, which is kind of a smaller but still coarse setup. So obviously I don't have hardscape or anything like that. It's ready to be filled and cycled, but that's kind of a work in progress, and I'm really excited to get that tank going this summer. Coming around over here, this is the former Pea Puffers tank. I have one Molly who he's kind of a little booger and picking on everybody in the other tank. So he's chilling in this mansion. This is one of the tanks that I had really bad hair algae, and I don't know if it was the no planaria, or I find it hard to believe one Molly ate that much hair algae, but man, is it coming along with just finally getting rid of some of that hair algae. So puffers may go back in there sooner than later. Everything's chilling in the 70 gallon. I'm looking at hopefully getting some more rainbow eggs going in the future, next couple weeks or so, and I'll show you how I do that. So sorry for the sort of long-winded update, but right here I'm really excited about this one. We have a crested gecko coming in, and so this terrarium I've been working on today, setting up the thermostat, heat lamp, misting system, all of that stuff. We've had it growing out with plants for quite some time, and it is bioactive already, so we have some isopods breeding in there. The plants are adjusting, and I think that's partly me struggling with plants like I typically do. So before this gets any longer, I'm gonna pause here. What I'm gonna do is get to work on these two tanks and draining them. There's nothing special about that. I just use a couple of vacuums to do them all at once. Then I'm gonna sort out these plants into these buckets that you see down here, so I can be organized in where I'm putting them as I go back. Once these tanks are drained and I'll say landscaped, then I'll unpause the video and bring you guys back into it. And then you can see kind of in live action how I use my system to, do water changes. And I'll do my best to post links to what I've been using. It's all pretty much stuff from Amazon, as cheap as you can find it. I'm not really brand specific on anything. So I'll pause here, and then I'll pick it back up in just a second. Okay, so had a little technical difficulties. So likely I'll have to upload these as two separate, shorter videos, part 1 and part 2. But picking up from where I left off, I am catching you guys up with the process. So here, from the two tanks we mentioned before, we've got this one and this one. The buckets down here, I've just basically organized all of my trimmings and cuttings into different buckets so that I know what's what, and they can, as long as they're relatively submerged in here, they're not going to hurt anything, and they can stay there for, as long as I need them to. You can see in here, I cleaned up a lot of the val and the pearl weed. I've got some Java moss that I got to figure out something to do with. Over here, the jungle is cleared up. You can see the temple plant that I've got in the back there that's really taken off. It's just huge compared to when I bought it. And this is one of the first sort of just gravel-based tanks that I've done. You can see I got a little amount of shrimp and everything. You're just checking it out. So, yeah, in this tank in specific, I think it might have something to do with where it's like right up against a window, but I got a little bit more gunk growing here. But I just honestly haven't been able to see very much of what's been going on back here. So I'm hoping that just by cleaning it out, some of the brown that you see in that temple plant can be corrected. I also kind of took some time off of fertilizers. So I was having some weird algae problems and got kind of overloaded starting up new tanks and things like that. So I didn't want to mess around too much with it if I didn't have a solid system. that I knew what the results would be with fertilizing in terms of water parameters. So I think I can get back on track with my fertilizer regimen and start to see some progress with these plants. Some of these tanks probably could use to be re-upped with root tabs too, since setting them up. So you can tell right now I'm currently sucking water out of these tanks. Before they get too low on water, I'll come down in here and I have my little gang valve in here, and I'm gonna switch this one and I'm gonna switch this one off. And if we come up here, now we can see that the water, I should say the air, is off. And actually, oops, I turned off one incorrect one. I think I need to label these, but I think that should do it. Dang it. Okay, third time's the charm. Here we go. All right, now we have air turned off in both of these. So for this go around, I'm probably going to take out quite a bit of water. I had starting green water in here, in this tank right here, and this tank, like I said, just had a little bit of, I can't tell if it's hair algae or not. So these hoses, and I'm just doing kind of an example that's manageable while I have video going, but these hoses go into the bathroom and right into a shower, so that's where they're draining. So I don't have to move buckets that way. I just drain as much as I want into the shower, and then we refill them. So again, I'm gonna pause here real quick, finish draining these, and then when I come back, I'll have it all set up to refill and show you how that works. Okay, so now you can see I've got this set up to where I have all of my hoses just with little binder clips ready to go into each. And again, these are the small, just airline size tubes. So though I have a power head that, you know, can push, oh, I don't even remember what this one is rated for, maybe 350 or so gallons per hour. It's dispersed into 8 lines, and so it doesn't dig up any of my substrate. It doesn't undo any of my sort of planting, if you will. I wouldn't really call what I do aquascaping. But so how it works, you can see I have them running off of what I've heard of called a gang valve. So it's really cool. As you know, one tank fills, you can just turn that line off and move it to the next tank and then turn it back on when it's done filling. And I have that adapted to the main output line into my water storage, which, let's see if I can get this to come up off so you can see the, I'm gonna try not to drop everything. So that is the simple power head, you know, Amazon cheap buy. I put it into my water storage where I, you know, store water for the week until I need to do my next water change. And then I have it plugged in, you know, with an extension cord that you can kind of see that goes behind the tank. So when I'm ready, I just start it. So give me 1 second here. It's gonna be interesting to see if this footage is even usable. I'm gonna have to redo it, but I wanted to at least show you the rate at which these lines fill the tanks back up. So basically now I just have these two with 4 lines running from the power head down in there with treated water, and now I just sit here while the tanks fill. So depending on what kind of maintenance I'm doing for that day, will kind of determine, you know, what setup I'm using. In theory, once, you know, years down the road, I'd love to have this room plumbed with PEX piping or something more permanent. But right now I'm moving tanks around so much that I wouldn't even know where to run lines permanently. So this setup allows me to basically be flexible. I have another power head that I setup that I've put together that'll run 4 lines. So again, I just throw that one into the same trash can. I can divvy up these lines to however many aquariums I'm needing to refill at once, and that's what stops me from having to fill up buckets. So, like I said, I'll try to see if I can get these videos edited into a way that doesn't suck, and then post links for all the stuff that I'm using down below. Thanks for watching.